Well, hello, class. It's Saturday morning, and I think you can kind of notice I'm outdoors. I'm actually in the backyard. I'm out here because my wife is actually working next to my office in the house, and I didn't want to disturb her because sometimes I'm a little loud and it's kind of close. And so I thought I'd come out here, enjoy the day, and hopefully the dogs won't be barking and you can hear me. And I just wanted to go over one of the forums and touch on a couple other things too. The forum I wanted to talk about was the one on listening, on the listening test. And I was going through it. I listened to all your comments, and a theme that came across consistently was we all had trouble listening because of distractions. For example, Alexander, you mentioned that. Charles mentioned it. Tiffany mentioned it. Um, Brittany and Aiden, you all said that one of the challenges you had was not being distracted and really listening to people. And I think that's important because in this day and age now, with cell phones and technology, texting, and things like that, I totally relate to that. And sometimes, the phone rings, the people at the door, but the cell phone thing, I think that's important to touch on because that really bothers me when I'm in a conversation with somebody and they get a text or they get a phone call and they answer it or they read the text and you lose their thought. And sometimes I feel like I'm not talking to them. And to me, it's a pet peeve. And I think we need to eliminate those type of distractions. I know we can do that. So it's important. I know for me, being an athletic director, I'm constantly multitasking. And one of the things I make it a point to do is when someone comes into my office, I want to be fully present. I want to listen to them. I want them to know that I'm listening to them. And I think that's critical. Um, I think all of the stuff we're learning here in this class and in any other class, if we can't communicate that to our kids, and it works both ways. If they don't listen to us, they're not going to hear it. They're not going to get it. And we don't listen to them, the same thing applies. For example, this year, one of the things that really I used in one of my pre-practice speeches that I told you I do every day is I got a Facebook message from a kid, and maybe I mentioned this to you. If I did, I apologize. But he said in this message that he starts off by saying, "Coach, you told me that I was uncoachable." And he says, "You were right." And he says, I didn't listen to you. And he says, "It took me to age 40. He's 40 years old. I haven't seen him for 20 years or more." And he says, "You were right. I didn't listen. And I'm sorry. And it took me to age 40. And he went on to say some really nice things, and I thanked him and that. And I used that in the pregame speech or pre-practice speech that day because I said, "Guys, look, here's what he said. Don't be one of those guys where you say, I wish I would have listened because you could have learned so much more." And that's just it. And all this imagery that we're talking about, if we can't communicate that to our kids, if they don't listen, if they don't get it, it's worthless. So I think teaching them listening skills and us knowing our weaknesses too is important. So this is an important forum that I think that we need to pay attention to. And I think we can teach our kids listening skills because so many of them are distracted with their cell phones and just everything in life. And I think they could be more effective, on the field in the classroom if they would just listen a little bit more. So this is critical. And a few of the things that jumped out at me on this one too. Aiden, you mentioned something that's really cool. I relate to what you were saying. I have a lot of guys, I've coached a lot of guys like you that they listen and they want to know. And they actually came up to me or they come up to the coaches and say, "Coach, what did you see me do up there? Tell me, give me some information." They always wanted to know. and they were asking questions all the time. And I think that's really key, is asking questions, paraphrasing back when we're listening to people, uh, because it's important. That tells them that we're listening, and it also puts us. It helps us to understand. And empathize. It helps us to have empathy with those people. So that is key. I really think that we need to do this a little bit more. We need to spend time teaching kids how to listen, and our own kids too. I think it's important because my daughter, she's horrible with the cell phone. I had to tell her, hey, when you come over to eat, put the thing away. I can remember my son when he first got a pager. Oh, the thing would go off all the time. And that was back in the 90s. I finally got that pager and threw it in the gutter when he wasn't around. He knows that now, so he can know that. But it's important to be fully present. And so anything we can do to understand our weaknesses and improve, I think, is so important. So, if anything, if you get anything out of that forum, I hope you listen to that. Just a couple things I just want to kind of go over. This might be my last video to you. And I just want to remind us to stay up on the quizzes in the journals. Some of us are not quite up to date on those. Please don't wait to the end. Work on the front end a little bit. Also, I uploaded an APA sample. I think I mentioned that. Most of us have really done a good job at making those adjustments. So if you haven't, please take a look at that. And then the sport movie analysis is coming up. I just wanted to remind you on that one. That is going to be really cool. I love, listening to what you guys have to say or reading what you have to say. And then the last thing I just want to kind of leave you with is that when you get my evaluation and the feedback for this class, give me some qualitative, written things if you can, some statements, good, bad, or whatever. I think it's important. It's easy to give a quantitative number, 1 through 10 or whatever it is, but the qualitative means a lot to me. I can make the adjustment and it means something. I can understand it. When they give you a number and it's on a scale, it's okay. But the qualitative really helps us to make those adjustments. And I want feedback. I want to know how we can improve, what you felt about the class for the future students. And I hope that you've learned something from this class. I love your interactions. I read every one of them. And if you have any questions, and a lot of you have, and try to get back to you right away. I hope that has helped. But if you have any questions, email me. And then even after this class, if you need help with anything, let me know. Anyway, I appreciate it. God bless. Have a great day. I hope this video comes out okay. I'll check it before I put it up. But anyway, thank you guys. Take care.